What's growing on, gardeners? It is a beautiful summer evening here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina. Do you have a favorite insect? I do. My favorite insect is by far the dragonfly. And next to the honeybee, the dragonfly just may be the most beneficial insect for you to have in your garden. And on today's video, I'm going to share with you all how I brought tons of dragonflies into my yard, and it may work for you too.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell to receive new video notifications, and check out our Amazon store and Spreadshop links in the video description for everything I use in my garden and awesome custom designed apparel and other gear. Your support is greatly appreciated.
When I had this house built back in 2018, this yard was nothing but a clear-cut lot full of sand and weeds. And because the rear of my property backs up to a creek that's beyond that fence, the mosquito problem got terrible come summer. In fact, some evenings, the mosquito problems were so bad that I couldn't even go outside and enjoy the yard. I knew I had to do something about the problem. I've spent the past 5 years of my life radically transforming my garden in order to bring in lots of predatory insects to deal with the mosquito problem, and I am sure that the #1 insect that has been the most beneficial to me is the dragonfly. Since I started colonizing the dragonfly in my yard and garden, my mosquito pressure has almost gone to zero. Yes, you will still get the odd mosquito here and there, that is inevitable, but the big infestations are gone. And in fact, you can see the dragonflies in my yard right now, hanging out on my trellis wires. Hey guys, good to see you. Did you know that dragonflies predate dinosaurs? Scientists have traced their origins back over 300 million years ago. They were here long before we were, and they will be here long after we're gone. Dragonflies are nature's pest control service. Dragonflies eat primarily mosquitoes, gnats, and midges, and it's said that one single adult dragonfly can eat up to 100 mosquitoes or 30 times its own body weight in a single day. So if you have 100 dragonflies flying around your yard, that means they can clear out 10,000 mosquitoes a day, and who wouldn't want that? Dragonflies are native to every continent on Earth except Antarctica. Here in the United States, where I live, they are native to the eastern half of the United States. That's because they are water breeders. They need large, stable bodies of water that are fairly shallow, like lakes and ponds and swamps, in order to procreate. While adult dragonflies only have a lifespan of several weeks, the babies, the nymphs, they can live for years, and they will continually in the water shed and molt and grow until they're finally able to take flight as adults. So for that reason, arid climates usually don't colonize dragonflies, because you need lots of rainfall and those stable, shallow sources of water in order for them to colonize and maintain a population. So if you live in a temperate or fairly rainy climate where dragonflies are native, I will show you some surefire ways to attract them to your yard. Now, here where I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, it is a very swampy area. There's lots of ponds, there's lots of lakes, there's lots of low-lying swamps, so dragonflies are all over the place. However, where I live in a neighborhood, there's nothing particularly to attract them. They really have no interest in lawns and features like that. So when I first moved into this property, there were basically no dragonflies. However, I have brought them into my yard in droves, and I'm going to explain to you how. The first thing you need to do is you need to build perches in your yard for the dragonflies to both rest on in the evening and also to have a high vantage point in order for them to hunt mosquitoes and gnats and other things. And I have found the two most effective things to use as dragonfly perches are bamboo stakes and these 1/8-inch stainless steel aerial cables that I run for trellises all over my yard. What I'm about to show you is pretty amazing. I have found that dragonflies absolutely love these bamboo stakes. I use these all the time, and they are just the perfect size for them to sit on and perch comfortably. Everywhere I put a bamboo stake, I tend to get dragonflies perching when the sun starts going down, because this is their hunting hour. This is when the mosquitoes and the gnats and things like that like to start coming out. So if you put these stakes all over the place, they will perch on the stakes. You can get these bamboo stakes over at Home Depot for like $2 or $3 for a 6-pack. You can break them into pieces and you can stick them around in your various plants. They just love sitting on top of them. But if you don't feel like running to the store, I'll also drop a link in the video description where you can get a pack of them online. The other thing that dragonflies love are these 1/8-inch stainless steel cables that I use for trellising all over my garden. I have them running all over the place, and the dragonflies just love sitting on them and perching for their meal. They are all over the place sitting on these stainless steel cables. Just look at them. You can't go a few feet without seeing a dragonfly perched on top of my garden waiting for the hunt. But it's not just the cables around my garden that they're attracted to. I use the same cables in order to espalier a lot of my fruit trees, and as you can see, they love sitting on those cables just as much. So no matter what you do, you can get dragonflies in your yard. These are just the perfect perches. The second thing that you need to do to bring dragonflies into your yard is to develop a thriving ecosystem. Dragonflies aren't Hank Hill. They're not going to come over and admire your lawn. And nobody likes a grass hole. You have to transform your yard into something that brings the dragonflies in. And to do that, you really need two things. You're going to need lots of flowers and vegetation, and you're going to need a lot of other insects for them to feed upon. Because remember, they're coming into your yard primarily to hunt. And before you say, whoa, 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 I don't want to bring mosquitoes and gnats into my yard just to attract dragonflies, I want to tell you that now is the time of year that I have the least amount of issues with gnats and mosquitoes. In the early to mid-spring, they're terrible around here because the dragonflies haven't emerged yet. But once these dragonflies start fluttering and going on the hunt, I'm telling you, it's like the populations of mosquitoes just dry up around here. The dragonflies will actually keep the ecosystem in balance. So even though you may technically have a larger population of insects or gnats, the dragonflies are going to be picking them off and managing them. Contrast that to the early spring where there might be a smaller total population, but there's nothing eating them, so they're just pretty much all going after you. I don't know how else to explain it, but this is basically, aside from winter, the lowest mosquito pressure time that we have, and I just have to thank the dragonflies for that. I had this house built brand new, so when I moved in, it was nothing more than a clear-cut quarter-acre of sand with a little bit of sod on it and a house plopped in the middle. So there was really nothing here attracting anything but fire ants. Since then, I have completely transformed the property, doing sort of like an edible landscaping arrangement while still leaving just enough grass for my dog to be able to run around and do his zoomies. So the first thing that you really want to do to bring in the dragonflies is to plant lots and lots of trees to give them shade and to give them places to hide. And also don't forget to mulch everything, because having lots of mulch means lots of areas of organic matter, and organic matter is going to grow ecosystems for you. The other thing that you want is you want lots of flowers, because when you get lots of flowers, that is going to attract a lot of other flying insects. Most of them will be good, some of them will be bad, but remember, it's mostly the bad insects that are going to attract the dragonflies, so it all balances out. And it's really good to have lots of flowers blooming at all times. Now, I realize that this is not possible in all climates. However, if you have a mild enough climate that you can at least have things like potted citrus that will flower all throughout the year, having them outside when it's not really cold out and they can take the temperatures is something I do to attract bees and other insects to my yard all throughout the year. And over time, basically the population of all animals have learned that my yard is simply put an oasis in a food desert. So they come here looking for sustenance. It's like they just know and they take up residency. And as a result, I have enormous populations of dragonflies and honeybees and bumblebees and earthworms and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't otherwise find in a house that was nothing but basically a lawn and ornamental shrubbery. And the third thing I want to touch on is not destroying the population once you finally attract them. Now, once you finally get dragonflies coming to your yard, you want to maintain that population. You don't want to kill them off by using insecticides. Now, where I live in North Carolina, it's extremely buggy, so I have to use some amounts of insecticides in my garden. Otherwise, I simply put won't have a garden. But there are ways that you can still use organic and natural insecticides in your garden without harming the dragonfly population. Now, dragonflies are diurnal. That means that they function during the day. They go to rest at night just like we do, so they are not out late in the evening. However, because they hunt mosquitoes and gnats, those populations are typically highest at sunrise and sunset and lower during the day. So dragonfly activity tends to be maximized both when the sun is rising and when it is setting. Therefore, you don't want to spray your garden until after the sun goes down and the dragonflies leave. Don't spray during sunset because the dragonflies are likely to be at peak functionality then. You want to wait until it's truly getting dark and they really do leave. Now, that being said, there are some other things that you should know. Dragonflies, like I mentioned, like to perch up high. So when you do spray your garden, try to spray down low. Spray the plants that are down on the ground. don't spray mists up into the air that are going to go up and hit the dragonflies. We don't want to contact them with any kind of sprays. And another tactic that you can take, if you don't have really bad bug population and you don't have to broadcast spray your entire garden, you can do things like put insecticides inside a spray bottle, and you can go out and individually hunt pests and spray them directly. That way you have almost no risk of ever harming a dragonfly. And while I have a lot of videos on my channel on how to use insecticides to manage insect populations, I really do try to minimize the spraying for a whole host of reasons, and protecting good bugs like dragonflies is one of the top reasons. So one of my favorite things to do during the buggy season is to actually take a hand vac and suck them up manually. But one of my favorite things about dragonflies is how truly gentle they are. Yes, I know they look scary, but they are harmless. They will not sting you, they will not bite you, they don't have stingers, and the thing about them is they are one of the few insects that you can actually pet. You can touch them, just be very gentle, because remember, it may be a light touch to you, but it might not feel like a light touch to them. So they are pettable, they are extremely friendly, and they're one of the biggest assets in your yard and garden. So if you're lucky enough to live in a climate where dragonflies are native, those are some ways that you can attract them into your yard and garden. Now, I know some people have things like wildlife ponds in order to breed them, but keep in mind a system like that has to be large enough to breed them. It has to be stable for years, because the nymph phase can take several years in order for them to develop into adults. And you can't have anything like fish in your wildlife pond, because they will obviously eat the larvae. So before we try anything like that, let's try these simple things like stakes for them to sit on, cables strung about the place so they can rest on, and try to develop your yard into a thriving ecosystem with lots of different species of trees and flowers in order to attract an overall healthy population of animals in general. So everybody, I sure hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please ring that notification bell so you're notified when we release more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in my garden in real life, they are all linked down below in my Amazon storefront link in the video description. So if you expand the video description and click on the Amazon link, you'll see everything I use in real life. And while you're there, check out my spread shop for custom merch if you want to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video. Okay, Dale, are you ready to test out your new toy? You know what this toy is? This is the Dale Spanker. It's the Dale Spanker. That's what it is. It's the Dale Beater. Yeah, I got him. Doink, doink. Ready? And go, Dale! Get him. Tug of war. Tug of war. Oh,
Drop
it's tearing.
Drop it. Good boy.
Very good, Dale. Ow! All right, I gotta turn this off. I'm gonna die. Oh, come on.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, now I have to get the ladder out. Nice throw, Mom.
Sorry,